think the only way to start as far as addressing lane swaps, because I said that I wanted to do a video kind of about SYNRGY's lane swap, because obviously as a caster, I can't, you know, sit there and go really ham and hard on someone. You're more about narrative and speaking to positives, but as an analyst watching this, there was a lot of big mistakes, and I kind of wanted to address it. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate a really standard lane swap. So a standard lane swap from purple side, because that's where SYNRGY did it, is a, okay, so your AD carry and your support go top lane. And what they're going to do is they're going to catch the wave. And what I mean is that as the wave comes in, they're going to grab it ahead of time, and they're going to pull it to the side, and they're going to cause the enemy creep line to start focus firing or to auto lock on one target. And what that does is that then they're going to drop aggro so they don't take a bunch of minion damage. But all of those creeps are focus fired on one. They're going to turn into the wave, and they're going to start focusing fire down your creep wave. And this is going to help you build up multiple waves. Now, the reason why you want two people up here is because, especially if you're against someone like Gnar or Lulu who's ranged, it's actually, it's not about just denying the CS of the enemy top laner, it's about denying the experience. So they're up there to help zone off the enemy top laner to make sure that they're the lowest level, preferably level 1, for the dive that's about to happen. And again, this isn't a fast push, which is what SYNRGY did. So this is just a standard fast push. So your support and your AD carry up there, they catch the wave and they start setting up for building the wave for the fast push. Ideally, you want 3 waves hitting the tower at least 2 waves hitting the tower. Now, the jungler and the top laner are going to double jungle. Now, depending on the champions, you can do this multiple ways, but typically you're going to take this camp and you're going to take this camp and you're going to share EXP. As soon as they're done with those 2 camps and they cross the river, the support should also go down into river, just because you don't have any vision in here. Ideally, level 1, there's certain ways that you can play it defined to make sure you know what side the jungler started, because it is very important to understand what side the enemy jungler, so you're not invading, because if the enemy jungler started blue side, you're pretty much invading into nothingness. Either way, this is the safest way, this is the standard way. As soon as they cross river, support comes down, so you're invading into fog of war because you have no vision over here. You need to take as many people as possible and abuse the fact that you have a numbers advantage on this side of the map. From here, you take, again, another 2 camps. Ideally, you want everyone to be level 3, at least level 2, maybe one person level 4, depends on when your CC is. But you want to make sure that your CC has the appropriate levels to CC correctly. Now, when everyone's done with these camps, they come up through here, and this is time to where this wave that this AD carry has been building up, as well as zoning off the top laner to make sure they don't get any experience, crash at the same time. And one of 2 things are going to happen. You're either going to dive this guy, you're going to kill him and get a first blood if you correctly juggle tower aggro, or this guy's going to see it coming because he should, in a perfect world, have warded over the side, seen you coming, and just back up, and then you just get a free tower. The counter response, of course, is going to be that the enemy team's like, oh, okay, and then they go and they rush and they do Baron. This is a very basic, a very standard lane swap and a fast push and how everything works together. So now that we know the basic and the standard, the most important things to recognize are taking a numbers advantage when invading into fog of war. Because obviously, if it's just the top laner and Gragas running over there, if they happen to run into the other enemy top laner, perhaps, and the jungler, then it's just a 2v2 and you don't make use of your numbers advantage. The fact that you're double jungling and you're sharing as much experience as possible to that top laner, so he's not put at a massive deficit for the fact that he's not in the lane and didn't burn his teleport immediately. And the wave manipulation and making sure that you have a sizable wave hitting the tower so you have the resources available to make the correct dive. So those are kind of the 3 things that you're setting up in the first 4 minutes of a game. So this is what happened with SYNRGY. Their purple side. Now the champions that they're using are Jinx, Thresh, Gragas, and Sion. The very first mistake that they made is that Thresh leashed Gragas. Now, why is this a mistake? Because they're against Gnar, and Gnar is a ranged opponent, and Gnar can approach a creep wave. And remember what I talked about, how it's a Jinx. She's still relatively fragile, and it's a little bit scary for a top laner to approach a Jinx, but as soon as Dardak figured out that Thresh wasn't in the lane, he's able to step forward. And it's so important not just to deny the CS, but to deny the experience. Because when you're trying to dive an opponent, like, think about it if it was a Vladimir. It's so much easier to dive a Vladimir level 1 because he doesn't have his pool. which he'll probably get level 2 if he sees that you guys are setting up for a dive. So that's the theory behind it. And Thresh wasn't able to be up here to zone and to apply pressure and to make sure that Gnar didn't get free experience because he's leashing Gragas. Now, why is Thresh leashing Gragas? Because Sion is using his ultimate, or excuse me, using his passive on the Raptor camp, which I find completely bizarre and probably the biggest fumble here. Now, this isn't uncommon for Scions to use their passive, die, kill the camp, back, buy flask pots or whatever, and then teleport back to line. That's perfectly common, but not in a fast push strategy. Why not just double jungle? I mean, the reason why you're doing this is so you can get extra sustain to the lane and take extra gold as well as experience advantage. If you're not going to use this extra gold and experience advantage to buy the sustain to help you out in the 2v2 because you didn't use the teleport after using your passive, why not just double jungle and take the free experience anyway, as well as some of the gold that Gragas could have given you? Because effectively what he does is he dies and then he walks right back to the place that he died and he attempts to continue double jungling with Gragas. So that was a massive error on their part. He should have just double jungled, shared the experience, split it with Gragas. So Thresh leashes, they lose pressure to zone off Gnar. Sion, I don't know if it was miscommunication or what happened, but that was very weird to watch. Then, okay, so Sion's dead. He's walking here because, I don't know, he wants to continue double jungling as opposed to just teleporting bot lane. Of course, the enemy bot laner, Urgot, did a fantastic job of freezing the wave. Gragas, then, he walks across the river, and he walks in blind. And he did this against a Rek'Sai. It is so lucky that iLucent wasn't killed or first blooded. He's walking into Fog of War into the enemy jungle. Yes, there's a numbers advantage, but there's only a numbers advantage if he's double jungling. He had no idea who was in there, if Rek'Sai, because Rek'Sai's one of the fastest junglers in the game as far as her clear speed is concerned. She could have been in there and he could have walked straight into a trap and just died. Like, that is so risky and so lucky, because not only was Sion not available because he wasn't double jungling, but Thresh didn't come down from the bottom lane to invade with him. So Gragas walks in totally blind. It's cool though, he gets super lucky because he gets the blue buff. He takes the Gromp, and then he waits. And at this point, you know, Sion's kind of caught up and he's kind of like dicking around in the river. And the reason why they're dicking around and they're waiting is because, unfortunately for, I'm trying to think of who their AD carry is, Jinx, unfortunately, let the cannon creep die. And because we didn't have the early pressure of Thresh Zone, Gnar was able to get up and manipulate the wave. And the wave dies. It's not able to reach the tower. So there's a ton of wasted time where you don't have that simultaneous wave crashing on, as well as them finishing up their camps, making sure that they have the appropriate levels for the CC, and looking for the dive or looking for the tower force. So just, what does end up happening is that Storm at 3:30, they send Baby Eater, their support, back, and he starts rushing up to the top lane because they figure, like, you can see that the enemy AD carry is setting up a fast push onto your tower. So you want to send up your support at around 3:30 because it's just harder to dive 2 people as 4 than it is 1 person as 4. So it's just an extra safety precaution right there. By the grace of God, Team Synergy managed to get first blood. They make a pick. They spend so much time in this river that Baby Eater eventually is up there for like 30 or 45 seconds, and eventually Gnar and Morgana push forward. That them dicking around in the river, they've waited for so long that they're able to get the gank and get the first blood. But it was so much wasted time that even with that first blood, they didn't get the lead, because immediately the reaction is hey, you see all this, like, this clusterfuck of lines up here? That's all of Team Synergy's resources. Pretty much every single goddamn member on their team is in the top lane praying for this gank to work, other than their mid laner. So Storm immediately just rush and they take the free dragon. And not only do they take the free dragon, but because they didn't fumble their waves, because Gnar didn't get forced off, and because Baby Eater made the correct rotation to go help him out in a 2v2, their solo lanes, pretty much everyone across the board, got a massive CS lead. So this first blood meant nothing. And I hate to say it, because I hate to say that a game is lost in the first 4 minutes, But pretty much everything that could have gone wrong on this lane swap did go wrong for Team Synergy. And to be frank, and obviously I can't say this on a cast, they lost this game in the first 4 minutes. I mean, Storm played it perfectly, but when teams do a lane swap, you're effectively taking you're taking the driver wheel. You're saying, okay, I'm going to dictate the pace of this game. I'm going to make the plays. You're going to react to them. And they just made all the wrong plays, and Storm just were able to just easy free mode. I mean, yeah, they made good reactions, but that was really interesting to watch. I hear that Synergy, and this looks like a clusterfuck on my screen right now. I hear that Synergy don't have a coach, and I hear that they've been practicing lane swaps, so maybe they were just using AlphaDraft as an extension of that practice or trying to put it into form, but that was really unfortunate. Just so many things went wrong for them. I think the number one thing, though, was not having Scion double jungle. That, I don't know, I'd love to know what happened to comms right there, but that's my little mini breakdown. Again, not trying to underhand Synergy or anything like that. I mean, obviously, I wish all of the challenger teams the best. Good luck.